Welcome back to the channel and the Angel Share 009 nano gauge whisky distillery layout. This is part 6 where we have some more scenery work. So you can see here, this is the kind of idea of the layout as it's coming together, and I'll share all this in the upcoming video. That's a nice thick coating of the gloss Mod Podge. We'll see how that dries and if it creates a nice ripply loch looking effect, the way you would see the surface of a loch. It took an hour or so to dry, but you can see the effect here, and it certainly gives a nice little kind of ripple effect. I will add some sort of white caps in at certain places on it, maybe add a little bit more, but I like the effect overall. It's looking pretty good. This end of the layout has been neglected, so I started mocking up a structure for the station building, and I was looking at the fencing surrounding that area and the platform. I'm going to have a change of colour there as well, and we have the retaining wall to deal with too. So this is the station building that will go at the end of the line on the downward elevation to the station platform. Basically it's using the random stone sheets that I had for the bridge build, basically using them in this building. This is a little offcut here, but what it is wide enough to form the back wall that's going to be against the actual end scene, so you won't see this wall. It's just there purely to make the structure complete, but you won't actually see that, so I'm not bothered that the brickwork's running that way rather than this way. So, and these are the three pieces that are going to go and form the wall on the other side of the line, on the elevation as it were, and a little bit of floor with the first coat of paint on it. Yeah, it's coming together. I just need to design a roof for it now. Initially I used a matte white, and I've got a matte black as well, but I'm going to gloss up the matte black. The matte white was a good base coat, but I decided to go with an aged white, which you can see here is just a little bit more muted and suits the weathering, suggesting that building's a little bit older than other buildings rather than them all being the flat white. So yeah, started putting on lintels and frames and whatnot for the windows and doors. The area at the front of the layout where I'm going to store some whisky barrels wasn't suitable for what I want to do with it. Basically can't have grass and dirt there due to the weight of the barrels. So I decided I was going to concrete it, got a piece of Amazon card, cut it out to shape, used the asphalt texture over it to give it the gritty tarmac appearance, then painted it different shades of grey, glued it down with some PVA, and then worked in some ground cover, some dark earth, and some of the green ground foam just to make it look the part. I wasn't too happy with the blue fencing. Every time I put it on and looked at it in the layout and in pictures and stuff, it was just too much of a contrast between the kind of scenery elements that are going to get built up and obviously the black and white of the distillery buildings. So I've decided to go with black fencing. Might not be prototypical in any way, shape or form, but I think it's fitting for a whisky distillery like this to kind of go with a black and white theme. So this will be getting changed to black and white as well, and just kind of keep the theme going. And I like the black fencing. Just give it a bit of a weather, a little bit of a brown wash, a little bit of light grey and stuff like that on it to make it look a bit aged, but I think it looks a lot better than the blue. I think you'll agree. So this is it now painted up black with the aged white on the platform shelter. I've also put in the random stone as a retaining wall all the way along that face of the elevated land, then use some golden filling paste basically to level that out and fill in behind the wall. So throughout the build process I've been working on areas using ground foam, dark earth, dark green, light green, just to give it a variation in tone with some sand as well to create paths. But it's certainly bringing life to the layout. I'm very happy with how it's starting to come together and just adding pieces as I go, working around the ash pit, dark greys and light greys, I've put that inside the ash pit just to give it a nice kind of overall effect. So we're getting there with the scenic work. It's a long job doing everything else, but I'll build it up as I go along. I kit bashed these steps from small steps, made them large steps, and I fitted them in the slot I'd cut out, but they were poking out too much, so I wanted to move them back a bit. So I marked off the area that needed cut out, got my Stanley knife out and cut out those parts and fitted the steps in so they're now flush with the wall. It's a lot better, a little bit more realistic coming from the door to the steps, a few feet rather than just mere inches. So I used some moulding paste to fill in the gaps round about the steps and the polystyrene foam, and this stuff's great and it dries quite quick. Looks a bit messy when you kind of get it all blended in there, but in general I think the steps look great in that area. Station scene is coming together, but then I went on to paint it brown and then use masking tape to tape off the area where the path leading from the steps round the rear of the distillery. Dug out the terrain asphalt diorama. That's a great material, and I used a spatula basically just to spread that all over and put some at the foot of the steps as well. I actually removed the tape while it was still damp and it dried up. Looks great. It's just a case of getting the grey paints on it. Put a blend of grey paints on it and then stuck in some ground cover round about it. An overall summary of the station area, where I've built in the retaining walls here and the little ledges on them all the way around. So I've got the retaining wall all the way there. Also done all the fence in black, put in some ground foam, little gravel path. The station has been repainted. And we've got the station building now with the roof eventually shaped for it. That'll work just nicely. And I've used, or whatever that's called, that clapboard I think it is, kind of siding wood for that bit there. I've got a little black strip still to put in there, and we can see with the warehouse and the crane how it's looking in that siding. And then up the side we've got ground foam, moved the stairs back, then we've put down the tarmac as it were, the gravel path, done some ground foam. The fence will be cut there and then go around at an angle. Yeah, very happy with how the station area is coming. It was neglected and spent the past good few days on it, maybe a week or so, just kind of getting this area more towards the finish line. Next up we'll be doing the ground foam on the areas between the warehouses, the storage factory area. So all this will get groundwork done on it. Still deciding what I'm going to do in this area here, whether I'll put another piece of concrete in or not, similar to that barrel area. I might just do the same there, extend that probably from here to there. We'll see. And then obviously comes the static grass, wiring lights in buildings, finishing the station and the engine shed, getting some weathering on stuff, and then start basically putting it all together. So yeah, very happy with how it's coming together. It's been a great summer project and probably closer to the finish than when we started. Rather than name all the grass, static grass and ground cover that I've used, just video, you can See it all there. A mix of companies, styles, colours, sizes, and I've got a bag full here that I'll dip into as well as the ground foam I've already used. So yeah, that's the kind of mixes I like to use, and all that has gone into create this so far. I took some sandpaper, P80, nice gritty texture, cut it to size to make a little kind of concrete area. I've put some card underneath it to stiffen it up and raise it a little bit in order to give it some sort of depth. Barrels will go in there, they'll go on wooden platforms because they don't sit on the ground, and there'll be wooden platforms in here before I put the next set of barrels on when I'm doing kind of double height ones. But for here, this will be the barrels coming off and on wagons and that siding, and again want something pretty solid underfoot for them. So I've removed some of the loose ballast round about here, and I've pulled back the grass a little bit, scraped some of that off and hoovered it up, and that should fit a little bit neater in there now. And then what I can do is, once it's down, is fill in these gaps with some ballast and some more ground foam, and then a little bit more static grass just along the edge. Next step is to glue down the platform, the concrete base, and which I did. Then I put in some ground foam round about it, and then between the track and the platform I put some more gravel and ground foam in, and I like how it looks. It's ideal, it suits the purpose for barrels coming off and on freight at that siding. So next up was the lighting. So I drilled a hole where the engine shed light will go, and I drilled a hole through the baseboard as well for the warehouse lights, and concluded with drilling 2 holes for the station platform lights. Then what I done was fit the little blocks that I have for positive and negative underneath the layout. That's the station lights wired in. Going to try them out for the first time. They've got resistors on them that came with them, so here's hoping. Yeah, that's them coming to life there. So that's good. So just need to get them in position properly and straightened up obviously as well. That's the first bit of lighting done on the layout. Just another 4 bulbs to get wired in. 3 for the warehouse and 1 for the engine shed. Now the lights are wired in for the warehouse through that hole and fed into the little distribution boards for the power, and I've also done the engine shed. So very happy, the lights are now lit up on the engine shed, 3 on the warehouse, and we also have the 2 at the station siding. So yeah, very happy, it's all come together nicely. I've placed the buildings around the layout as a mock-up to see what it's like, fences loosely in place, etc. But I really like the look of it, it's coming together really nicely, and I think I'll stick the back scene and some more details on. So here it is with the back scene and the side plates put in as well. Yeah, still a lot of work to do, obviously with the back scenes, fitting the fences, painting the fascia, finishing the water, more scenic work, more gravel, more weathering. So it's an ongoing job, thoroughly enjoying it, taking my time, but also not messing around with too much of the finer details.
So thanks again for tuning in to this latest update of the Angelshire 009 narrow gauge whisky distillery. Yeah, you can see there's been a good bit of progress made on it, some tweaks and some changes, the additions of certain parts, so it just starts to come together. Happy with it, enjoying how the build is coming together and how it's starting to look. Obviously, I've got some more details to add. I do sit and look at the layout for a period of time and kind of assess what details are needed. And I think, well, this will be needed and this isn't needed, so I don't want to kind of go to the nth degree on it. But otherwise, I still want it to look pretty realistic. Obviously, with the buildings currently on it, it doesn't look very kind of whisky distillery because there's some Metcalf buildings in there. This little scratch-built warehouse is not typical of a whisky distillery per se, but I'm just using materials that I've got to keep the cost down. But I'll incorporate something in the background image that will help tie in the whisky distillery buildings together, and obviously get all the back scene, the side panels built, the little roof canopy, and then think about getting LED lighting in there as well. So there's still plenty of jobs to do on the layout, painting the fascia, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, we'll get there, we'll carry on. Thanks for staying with me during this build, and thanks to the new subscribers. Thanks for all the comments and advice that people give me. And yeah, I hope you're enjoying the build as much as I am. So thanks very much, take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.